This is Dr. Farina Najam from Division of Arts and Social Sciences, University of Education, Lahore. The course title is Portrait Painting. Dear student, I would like to share about color contrast and attributes. First of all, what is color? Color is the result of the breakdown of white light into its single elements by using a glass prism. These color elements consist of violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. They are the colors of the rainbow. Sir Isaac Newton first showed that natural white light is a combination of all the colors of the visible light spectrum. Now, what is contrast? Contrast is simply defined as difference. Difference between art elements like color, values, size, texture, and so on can intensify the element used. As a result, the elements used in a work of art can become more powerful. Although contrast is closely related with variety, it is usually considered a principle of art. Contrast simply creates variety. What is color contrast? Two colors from different segments of the color wheel are contrasting colors, as known as complementary as clashing colors. Contrasting colors are colors that differ from one another. Levels of contrast vary from high to low depending on their position on the color wheel. For example, colors that are directly opposite one another on the color wheel have the highest contrast possible, while colors next to one another have a low contrast. For example, red, orange, and orange are colors that have low contrast. Red and green are colors that have high contrast. Red and greens are contrasting colors. You can see the high and low contrast. Understanding color contrast. It is easy to understand how color can create contrast. For example, complementary colors provide a high level of contrast. Complementary colors are colors that are located directly across from each other on the color wheel. Red and green, blue and orange, and purple and yellow are all examples of this. But when using complementary colors, we also have to consider value. And value is the darkness or lightness of color. Without contrast in value, the contrast created by complementary colors is counterproductive. Color contrast for the sake of aesthetic. To say the least, choosing high contrast colors for a design is a bold move. Example of high contrast colors. These pairs are directly across from one another on the color wheel. High contrast colors. Art and design that uses high contrast colors really pop. Looking at design like these creates a unique experience but has a tendency to become a little painful. Because of this liability, high color contrast is not always the best idea to use in design. At the same time, low color contrast can also be a bad idea. Using these schemes make it hard to differentiate between elements. Are the low contrast colors. Contrast painting style tenebrism. Tenebrism, from the Italian tenebrasso, also called dramatic illumination, is a style of painting using very pronounced chiaroscuro, where there are violent contrast of light and dark, and where darkness becomes a dominating feature of the image. The technique was developed to add drama to an image through a spotlight effect, and was popular during the Baroque period of painting. An example of op art, this painting has such a strong contrast in colors that it plays with visual perception and makes it seem as if the shapes are moving. There is also a contrast in shapes, in that positive shapes becomes negative shapes and vice versa. When you hear the word contrast, you probably think of dark versus light, but paintings can have many different kinds of contrast in them. Here are just a few: cool, warm, light, dark, sharp, blurry, thick paint, thin paint, sketchy, detailed, straight, and curved. You can pick out the different contrast in this painting. The favorite color of this lady is purple. Her clothing was purple, and several walls in her home were purple, so it was not hard for artists to choose purple as the main color in this portrait. But if everything was purple, that would not be very interesting painting. So artist makes a warm purple red for the background and cool bluish purple for her clothing. She wanted to draw attention to her face, so around the head, near the top of the chair, she painted much lighter colors to contrast against the dark shadows of her hair. The rest of the chair she made a darker grey than in reality. She did the same for her shirt and coat, except for the areas adjacent to the head. Everything artist did with light dark contrast was to create a focal point around her face. Thick paint, thin paint. Her subject clothing is thinly painted, so much so that the blue underpainting shows through. In the background, however, she applied the paint thickly. Sketchy and detailed contrast. She added quick lines where the chair meets her right arm to emphasize the energetic and sparkling personality of the model. The loose style of painting contrasts greatly with her carefully detailed facial features. Sharp, blurry contrast. She blurred her left sleeve into the background but kept her right sleeve sharp against the gray of the chair. In fact, many edges in this painting blur and blend into each other, except where she painted facial proportion. How to draw a face from the front, step by step. Step 1. Draw a circle in a cross. Draw a circle in a cross. We will first draw a circle in two intersecting lines that connect directly in the center. The circle represents the top portion of the head. We will use the intersecting lines to determine the location of the facial features. Step 2. Draw a square within the circle. Next, we will draw a square in which each corner touches to the circle. The hair will eventually represent the edges of the face. The top line will eventually become the bottom line, hairline. The bottom line will become the nose line, while center line will become the brow line. Step 3. Draw the chin. Now we will measure the distance from the center line to the bottom line. You can use your pencil to do this. From the bottom line of the square, use this measurement to mark the location of the bottom of the chin. Then draw the edges of the chin from each side of the square so that they connect at your marked location. Step 4. Locate the eyes. Now we the basic structure of the shape of the face in place. We will next locate the eyes. We can use the height of the head to help us determine the location of the eyes on the face. The eyes are generally found on a line in the center of the head. The brow line is represented by the center line that we drew in step 1. So we know that the eyes should be found just below this line. In the center of the head, we can draw a line here for the eye line. Step 5. Draw the eyes. Now that we know where our eyes are located on the face, we can draw them. There is another measurement to keep in mind. We also should consider the width of eyes, the width of the head from ear to ear. Generally measure the same length of 5 eyes. This means that if we want to draw the eyes with accurate proportion, then we need to draw them so that they match this approximate measurement. Step 6. And draw the nose. Moving down the face, we will next draw the nose. The bottom of the nose can be found on the bottom line of the square that we drew in step 2. The width of the nose varies from person to person but is generally as wide as the inside corner of the eyes. It may be helpful to draw 2 light lines down from the inside corners of the eyes to help you find the width of the nose. Step 7. Locate and draw the mouth. We find the mouth slightly higher than halfway between the bottom of the nose and the chin. Of course, this measurement varies from person to person. We can draw a line to mark the positioning of the mouth. We can use the eyes to help us determine the width of the mouth. The corner of the mouth generally align with the inside edges of the pupils. It may be helpful to draw light lines from the pupil to the mouth lines. Step 8. Draw the ears. Next, we will draw the ear. Here again, we can use the locations of the features of the face to help us determine the location of the ear. The top of the ears will generally align with the brow line, while the bottom of the ears align with the nose line. Keep in mind that the ears come out of the head and extend upward slightly. This means that the ears will extend outward from the head near the eye line. Step 9. Draw the hairline. Now we will draw the hairline. If you are trying someone that has long hair that overlap the forehead, the hairline may not be visible, but it's still important to know where it's located. The hairline is found on the top edge of the square that we drew in step 2. Hairlines vary greatly from person to person. In this example, we will draw a widow peak pattern. Step 10. Draw the hair. Now that we have the hairline in place, we can draw the hair. Shorter hair extends only slightly off the top of the head, while longer or bushier hair may extend quite a bit. In both cases, however, the hair extends out from the head and should not be drawn directly on the head. Step 11. At the neck. Now we need to add a neck to our floating head. The tendency of most beginning artists is to make the neck too narrow. Generally speaking, the neck extends down from the bottom of the ears. Female necks are slightly more slender while the necks of males are broader. To draw the neck, we will simply extend two lines down from the bottom of the ears. How to draw a face from the side profile? If you want to draw a face from the side or profile view, these same proportional measurements apply. We will simply alter the location of the features, positioning them on the side of the head. In fact, we can start the process in exactly the same way, starting with a circle with intersecting lines. Step 1. Draw a circle, a square, and intersecting lines. We will start in the same way that we did before by drawing a circle, two intersecting lines and squares that makes contact with the circle at all four corners. Step 2. Draw a lines from the top of the head of the chin. We will next mark the location of the bottom of the chin. We can measure the distance from the center of the square to the bottom and use this measurement to mark the bottom of the chin. With the mark is in place for the chin, we will draw the front edge of the face. In this case, our subject is facing to the left. So we will bring a curved line down from the top of the head to the bottom of the chin. Step 3. Add a line from the bottom of the chin to the center of the square. Step 4. Determine the location of the eyes. Now we will measure to the center of the head and place a line to represent the eye line. Again, this line should be drawn just underneath the brow line. We can also use the circle that we drew with the bottom of the square to draw the back side of the head. Think about the structure of the skull here as you draw this line. Step 5. Draw the facial features and add shading. Now that we have an idea of the location of the facial features, we can draw them in using counter lines. We will also add a bit of shading here to make the face have a sense of form. Notice here the eyes are set back from the front edge of the face and how the lips and mouth recesses are diagonal towards the neck. Step 6. Draw the ear on the side of the face. We can use our center line, nose line, and eye line to draw the ear on the side of the face. Since our subject is facing towards the left, the bulk of the ear will be found on the right side of our counter lines. As we discussed before, the line drawn for the ear will start on the eye line, extend up to the brow line, and then curve down, touching the nose line. We will also go ahead and draw a counter line for the outer edge of the hair and a couple of counter lines for the neck in this step. Step 7. Add the hair. We will keep the hairstyle consistent with our first drawing and draw the hairline. In this case, the line extends back before making its way down to the ears. We will also add a few hints of shading to make the hair feel like a form. The eyes are found in the middle of the head. The corners of the inside of the eyes generally line up with the edge of the nose. The mouth line is about 1/3 below the nose line and the bottom of the chin. This line represents where the top lip meets the bottom lip. The inside portion of the pupil are generally line up with the corners of the mouth. The ears are usually found between the eye line and the nose line but extend up to the brow line.